makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravin. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. In this episode, we are going to have a conversation with Jennifer Swanson. She is an award-winning children's author and founder of KidLiteracy, Inc. Jennifer is on a mission to encourage kids and engage their curiosity to discover science and everything around them. Good morning, Jennifer. You are an award-winning children's author and founder of KidLiteracy, Inc., a nonprofit dedicated to improving children's education. And this is so wonderful. Someone thinking about our children, that I cannot argue with because we need more than that. And also, I can't wait to learn about your work and all the things you have been doing, especially with your books. So from being a science geek to walk into a children's education, how did you get into writing children's book?
Oh, so first of all, thank you for having me, Nagila. I'm very excited to be here. I guess I've been writing my whole life. I was that kid who was always making up stories and writing stories. And back then I drew pictures because I could do, little stick figures. Now I don't do the illustrations in my books. But I also was a huge reader. Oh my gosh. I practically lived at our local library. Grew up in a small town. So when I was at a young age, I was able to ride my bike to the library, and I used to come out with stacks and stacks of books. And I always thought, wouldn't it be cool one day to pull a book off the shelf and have my name on it, right? Right? How cool is that? And I mean, it took a lot of years later. But then I started writing books. I think I got my first book published about 12 years ago. And it's just been so much fun to do this ever since. I just signed my 50th book contract, and I'm very lucky to do what I do, and I just love it.
Wow, this is awesome. So can you tell us about the nonprofit organization?
Sure. So KidLiteracy, Inc. Is a nonprofit that I started back in 2018. We got our 501c3 right in the beginning of the pandemic, so that was so fun. so we've had a little bit of a slow start. But the reason why I started this was, as a children's author, I go and do a lot of school visits, and I was very excited to do school visits. And I live here in Jacksonville, Florida, and I was stunned one day to learn that a lot of libraries didn't have many books in them, or a lot of the nonfiction, particularly in the science books. The books are almost as old as what I used to read when I was a kid, and that's a really old.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so sad. We have to do something about this. And the teachers and the school systems, they're already overwhelmed. So I thought, what a wonderful way for me to give back and to bring authors and illustrators into schools. We usually focus on Title I schools. And we give what we call a literacy experience to these schools. And then we donate $500 worth of books to leave behind, so that all of these kids can, see the books, and they either go into the libraries or the classrooms. The schools can do whatever they want with them. But that's what we're trying to do with Kid Literacy. And so far, we've been pretty successful.
Wow, but this is awesome. So now it's like you're doing a lot. Not only that you're giving your services to them, but you're also donating books to them. So, wow, this is amazing. But how do you do the fundraising to get the money to go and donate it back?
Well, that's the $1 million question for all nonprofits, isn't it? How do you do fundraising? So I will admit, for us, it's been difficult because, like I said, we got our 501c3, I think it was May 2020, right at the height of the pandemic. So far we've done a lot of online type of fundraising. We have a Facebook page for Kid Literacy Inc. if you want to follow us. But we've been fairly successful there. I mean, we're not raising a lot of money yet, but we have a really big fundraiser coming up on our Facebook Live program November 18th that we're hoping is going to bring in a lot of money and a lot of people to do this. We're very excited about it. Would you like me to tell you about what the event we're going to do?
Yes, yes, yes.
So one of the books that I have written is, I don't know if you can see it in the back there, is called Astronaut Aquanaut, How Space Science and Sea Science Interact. And that book was published by National Geographic Kids, which is one of the publishers I work with. So what we do for kid literacy is we do this kind of three-pronged approach. It's called Imagine, Explore, Read, right? So aside from all this, I also started have an award-winning science podcast for kids called Solve It for Kids. And we interview scientists and engineers and experts on the podcast. So what we decided to do for our fundraiser is we're going to kind of give the people that come to our Facebook Live event like an experience like they're at school, like a real school visit. So we start out using the podcast, only we're not instead of using a podcast, we're going to have live people. So we have an Apollo 15 astronaut, one of the 12 men that walked on the moon. He's going to stop by for a few minutes. We have a real live aquanaut. She went down in the Alvin and did in the Alvin submersible, and which is the farthest that they've gone down in the Puerto Rican Trench. And the cool thing is she is a scientist who grew up in Puerto Rico. So she got to, right? So she got to dive on the trench. Isn't it cool? So they're going to chat with us for a few minutes. And then my dear friend and amazing award-winning illustrator, Vanessa Brantley Newton, is going to draw with everybody. So she's going to hopefully we'll have kids and families, and she's going to draw. We're going to do a fun quiz about astronaut aquanauts. And then we're going to give away some prizes. The two major prizes we're going to give away are a classroom set. So like 25 books, 25 classroom set of Astronaut Aquanaut and one of Vanessa Brantley Newton's amazing books. So we're going to give away some prizes. We're going to have lots of fun, and we hope to kind of raise some money along the way so that we can do more events like this. But yes, we invite everybody, check it out on our Facebook page, Kid Literacy Inc. November 18th from 6:30 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern.
And then any kids also can specifically kids can join.
Oh, absolutely. We'd love for families to have their kids join so that they could draw some pictures. We're going to draw pictures of aquanauts and astronauts, or maybe spaceships and underwater submersibles, right? The whole idea is to get the kids imagining themselves as the scientists doing this, exploring kind of with art, because we love to add art to STEM. And then we're going to give away books so that they can read all about it.
I love that. I think it's a great idea. And also, how does the fundraising going to? I know that you're gonna do all that. So, are you gonna have a button somewhere for parents to click and go donate?
We will. Yes, we will have that all set up because we are a legitimate nonprofit on Facebook. So you're gonna be able to donate right there, or you can always donate through our website, which is kidliteracy.org. And you can donate to us any time of the year. But we were so excited to put this together, especially with the amazing guests that we were able to secure. I mean, wow.
Yes.
One of the 12 men that walked on the moon, right? I'm like, I wish this were in person so I could meet him.
I know. But another question I was going to ask you is, the kids going to have the privilege of asking them questions, or even typing in the chat?
Yes, we will do a short question and answer session with the astronaut and the aquanaut so that they can ask them questions and interact with them. We're very excited. They are too. They're thrilled to be a part of this. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, and I know the kids will be very excited too. I know my son will be excited for some, especially he wants to be a scientist. So that's like the biggest thing ever. Like, oh, this
Yeah,
is
I love
so cool.
hearing that. I love hearing about kids that are interested in being scientists and engineers.
Yeah, since he was two, he's been saying that, and then at his age, he's still saying it. So I'm guessing he's not changing his mind.
Well, let me just tell you. So when I was 7, I started a science club in my garage. So all of these years later, and there's many, many years, I'm still a science kid at heart, right? So
Yes.
your son may keep that all the way through. I hope so.
All the way through, exactly. I agree with you on that. And other that I know that you having that event and any other things that's going on within the nonprofit itself that you like to share with us.
Sure. I mean, we are always doing school visits. So we try to average, like I said, our budget is small at the moment, but we're hoping it gets bigger. So our goal is to do 3 to 4 school visits a year minimum. Now, some of them were still virtual, right? Because that's easier. Some of them we're doing in town, in the Jacksonville, Florida area where I live. We also have one of our board members is in South Carolina. So we kind of do in-person school visits. But we are open to doing school visits across the country. You just need to go to our website, kidliteracy.org, and fill out a form if you're interested in working with us. We're also taking trade published authors who might be interested in working with us as well. And we do pay you. It's not your normal school visit fee. But we do work with you because we appreciate your time. So we're hoping to get a lot of money with our fundraiser so that we can kind of expand what we do. Because we think the combination of using the podcast to help, add that STEM element and get kids to think, imagine and
Mm,
explore, and then also do without telling them they're learning about problem solving and critical thinking, right?
that's true.
But you hide it under imagine, explore.
I
So
love it.
there is a STEM component to our literacy nonprofit. That's what we say. We're a STEM or STEAM literacy nonprofit.
I love it. You know, one thing that you employ, you said that you are pushed to increase the imagination of kids. So,
Right.
what do you mean by that when you said you try to increase the imagination? How do you do that exactly?
Well, so today a lot of kids are on video games and whatever. And maybe they don't read as much as they should, but books, words, and the podcast, which is only audio, because when I do my podcast, that allows them to kind of close their eyes and listen to what the scientist is telling them and imagine themselves so they could see, and we want kids of all backgrounds, of all diversity, every kind of ethnicity to imagine themselves being this scientist or engineer. That's what we're trying to encourage. And kind of open doors and say, you can do this. Even if you don't think you can do this. And that's what we're trying to do, right? I think we all need
Right.
positivity in the world these days, yes?
Exactly. Too much negative is going around. Too many of it are going around
Yes, yes, yes.
already. And I think that our kids also has been a very little bugs for a while with the pandemic and something
Yeah.
like that. I think it's very beneficial to them, especially can go out and play with other kids and things like that. And I think that listening to a podcast like that, it's I love the fact that you have real scientists and other people coming in and then like kind of guide them to make them feel positive that hey
Yes.
I did this so you can too, and if you start now you have a better chance than I did. So
Right,
I
exactly.
like that positive.
And a lot of our guests, like we've had tree scientists, we've had dung beetle scientists, we've had elephant giraffe scientists, we've had astronauts, we've had black hole scientists, we've had engineers from NASA. In fact,
Hmm.
coming up on the podcast, we have 2 engineers who have worked on Artemis, the big rocket that's about to
Yeah.
go to the moon. So there's all kinds of things, and we're also creating teacher guides for some of the podcasts, free ones that the teachers can use in the classroom if they want their kids to, if they're doing a unit on like how to take care of your teeth, we interviewed my daughter-in-law who's a dentist. Right?
I love that.
Isn't it funny? And yet that's honestly one of the most downloaded episodes we have, how to make teeth out of soap, as she had to learn how to do when she was a dentist. So it's a lot of fun. And I think if we tap into fun with kids and science and all of that kind of things, then we're helping everybody, right? The teachers, the parents.
Yes, everyone pretty much. But one thing that's fascinating me is the fact that as a kid, you love books, you love to read, you spend most of your time in the library. But why do you choose that path as a career, even as an adult? Like, even for right now, you decided I'm going to start a nonprofit. This is where I'm going to head with it. Everything you are doing is to give him back to your community. Why that choice?
I think I've actually done that my whole life as well. Like when I was in high school, I was a Girl Scout, but when I was older high schooler, my friend and I actually would drive out to the Girl Scout camp, and we created a canoe training program. So we would train these girls on how to go out and canoe on the lake. And then, like I was also a candy striper. I guess we call them student volunteers now at the hospital for many years. So I've always loved to volunteer and to give back. Before I was a children's author, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was, the room mom, the Girl Scout leader, all this kind of stuff. So to me, this kind of just makes sense. And it was just honestly heartbreaking for me to realize that kids just didn't have access to these books and, and the libraries. And so, because that's where I grew up, right? That's what I did.
Yes.
And so that's where, if you don't know where else to go to learn about something, the library is the best place. Yes, you can use the internet. The internet, since I write nonfiction books, does not always contain. You have to go to the right websites to get the right information.
Yes.
But holding a book in your hand and reading the pictures, that to me is what's exciting. And I hope kids find that exciting.
And you are right with that. Even now, taking my PhD, and then one thing that the school is like, oh, the ebooks is available online. I'm like, thank you, no, but I think I'm gonna go buy the print copy.
Right?
I just can't. I will download it on my iPad, but I'm not gonna spend my day reading in an iPad. It's just not. It doesn't work for me. I love to have the book with my markers and then highlight things, and this is for me still the fun thing. And I think I understand where you are coming from. Is as kids, even in my age, we had those heavy, big books that we can barely carry them to school. Yes. And now I'm looking at my son books, and I'm like, you're getting smaller every year.
Yes.
And not smaller than what I thought it should be. I don't know. So I think what you are doing, it's great. As a parent myself, I appreciate it when I was learning about you, and I'm like, wow, she really dedicated herself just to do that for children. That's amazing. And we do need that because the books are getting smaller.
Yes.
And I don't understand why they are getting smaller. I don't know. The information should still be available, but they are not in the books anymore.
It should. It should. I mean, it depends. But I will say this. So as I said, I write nonfiction books for kids, and so a lot of kids don't get exposed to nonfiction, which is kind of, I think, crazy, because that's where they learn. That's where they're curious, and they get real facts. But that's the thing that I think a lot of libraries, unfortunately, their nonfiction is a bit older. And the new nonfiction books are so amazing. They're not the textbooks that I read as a kid, right? These are exciting. Like, I have a book called Save the Crash Test Dummies. It's about the history of car safety engineering, but kind of told through the day in the life of a crash test dummy. Right? And they're learning about Newton's laws of motion, but they don't know, like it's fun. So that's what we hope to do with these books, is bring in new books too and give them to the library.
But quick question, where do you get the books? Is the nonprofits buying them, or is the nonprofit able to get them donated so that they can donate them
So
to the
at the
school?
moment, we are purchasing them. If any publishers want to work with us and donate, that would be
That
wonderful.
would be great.
So we
Yes.
buy it from a local independent bookstore here called the Bookmark in Jacksonville, Florida, and then we have an independent bookstore that we work with up in South Carolina as well. But yes, that's part where the donations go. So if you donate money, it's going to go to. We don't have a lot of overhead, which is good. So that's not going to go there. It's going to go into books for schools. It's going to go to pay to offset some of the fees of the authors, because if we, if they
Yes.
travel, it's polite to at least pay their travel fee, and they get a small stipend. But most of what you do if you donate is it's going to go directly to schools. It's going to help us reach more schools and maybe eventually give more than $500 of books. But that's the minimum amount we give when we visit a school.
So pretty much right now, you guys are buying the books.
Yep.
So I think that a good way it will be to get the books donated so we can donate them back.
That
I
would
think
be
that
lovely. Yes.
yes,
And we are working on that. Like, like I said, we're working on trying to reach out and make connections with companies who are willing to help to work with us to achieve their kind of nonprofit goals for the community, and all that kind of stuff. But at the moment, we've still, let's see, even though it was the pandemic, we've served at least 8 to 10 schools in the last 2 years.
which is awesome.
So that's not bad for working with a very tiny budget. We're
Budget,
still doing
yes.
it, and and we're still having huge impact. So that could be anywhere from about maybe like 5,000 students or so we've reached.
Yes, exactly. And I can see it 10 to 20 years from now, it will be a lot. I'm giving it at least by next year. Will be very huge. I'm just saying because the concept behind it, it's powerful.
Well,
Because the next generation is important to teach them. It's important to
yeah,
push them to the limit that, hey, you can do this. Because if we do that, we have less kids in the street and more
yeah.
kids that's standing up for themselves and then creating better opportunities for the next generation that's going to come after them. So I see this
Absolutely.
going big, and I'm behind you in this 100%. That's all I
Well,
can say.
thank you so much, Nabila. Yes, I mean that's exactly what we hope to do. And then the dream one day, if we have enough funding, is we would love to have a free teachers conference where we talk about how to
Ooh.
help teachers teach STEAM in the classroom in a fun way. That's kind of down the road. We have to get there to that. But we also recognize that our teachers already work really, really hard, and we'd like to offer them ways to help with teaching STEAM.
Yes, they work hard, they are underpaid.
Oh
So,
yes.
not much to say.
We
They
both
deserve
agree.
that help. Yes. So you have authored more than 45 books
Yes.
for children and around science. So what are your plans going ahead with your company, and also do you have any more books in the pipeline? Because I know you say that you got a contract for the
I do. Yes.
for a
At
new
the
one.
moment, I'm writing a couple books at the same time. So I have several books coming out. Let's see. I'm trying to remember which ones do I have coming out in the next couple of years. One is in conjunction with the Field Museum, Chicago's Field Museum. I'm doing a book called Protecting the Amazon, and it is about the rapid
Ooh.
inventory team at the Field Museum that works in conjunction with countries in South America to help preserve the Amazon and protect the Amazon. It's an amazing story. I am working on another project with a team that is diving on a secret underwater forest that was uncovered by a hurricane a few years ago, and there's actual trees that are 60,000 years old. Um,
What?
yeah, not like tall trees, but still standing trees. Like we're talking maybe 3, 4, 5 feet tall. And it's all preserved because it was under the mud and all the silt. So I love to tell the stories of scientists and engineers. Um, I, there's several other books I'm working on that I can't always talk about what I'm working on, but those are the ones that I'm very, very excited about. And I just had a new picture book come out called Footprints Across the Planet, which talks about how every footprint that a human takes, that an animal takes, that our voices, our actions makes an impact on the planet. And maybe we should think about what kind of impact we want to leave.
I love that. That one, I have to read that one.
Yes.
I have to read that one. That would make you think a lot,
You
Just to
know,
like,
that's the goal, right? I wanted to
yes.
do a book that was positive about thinking about the impact, because there's a lot of out there about everyone it's negative. So I tried to come up with something that kids of all ages would understand, and I thought every time we walk, we're making an
Yes.
imprint, an impact on the planet, you know? So if we just put our footprints and turn our feet in the right direction, how powerful would
Yes.
that be, right?
Yes. Yes, you are right. We are doing that every second of our life. We don't realize it.
Exactly.
Wow. How do you get your imagination? I have to ask.
Oh, I have so many ideas. I'm such a curious person. Your son is probably like this too, if he wants to be a scientist. Um,
Yes.
I'm always wondering how things work. How did things get that way? I'm just very fascinated by all of these different things. And so, in my head, when I write, I'm about 9 or 10, which is like the perfect age for curiosity, right? Because you're not being told
Yes.
you can't yet. Everyone's saying the world is in front of you until you get to middle school and high school and the tests are in front of you, right? Like it changes. So I just kind of look at the world that way. And I love to take really complex topics. Like I did a book on brain games about how your brain works and make it very easily understandable for, like, say, fifth graders to understand all of the complexities of how their brain works. That's just what I do. That's why I say I'm a very proud science geek. That's my tagline is science rocks.
I love it. You know what? I would love to go back in time and meet the little Jennifer sitting in the library.
Oh yes, I was so there. The whole kids in the neighborhood were in my science club, and now as I look back at it, I'm kind of like, were they in it because they wanted to be, or because I was like, you will all be in my science club? Maybe a little
Oh
bit of
my
both.
goodness. So, Brain Games, which is named one of the 50 best science book ever. Can you tell
Yeah.
us more about that?
So that is a book that I was asked to write by National Geographic Kids, and that book came out, I believe, I'd have to check, but I think it was out in 2015. And at the time, Brain Games was a big TV show on the National Geographic Channel. It's a very interactive, do all these crazy things and see how your brain's working. And I turned it into a two-dimensional book, which was not easy, by the way, but so much fun. And so and the book is still going strong all of these years later. In fact, I have met so many neurologists and neuroscientists who give this to their patients. They're kind of elderly patients so that they can understand how their brain works. It also has activities in it. So you should get it for your son, because if he reads this book, he needs to do all the things like stand on one foot while he's reading and jump up and down and, you know, and learn how his brain is going. A lot of my books have activities because science is best in action.
Exactly. I agree with you on that. But also, can you tell us about the other awards you received, including the Gold Award winner?
The what? I'm sorry?
The gold, because I know you also
Oh, the
a
Parents'
gold one.
Choice Gold Award. For that,
Yes.
yes, that was for the Save the Crash Test Dummies book. So I'm very proud of that book, of all of the books that I've done. I've been lucky enough to win some awards for my books. Yes, the Green Earth Book Award for a book I did on climate change. Let's see, the Florida Book Award. I've won both gold and silver for Beastly Bionics, which is a book about biomimicry. Um, and I was lucky enough I've presented at some pretty amazing places. The World Science Festival for 2 years in a row. One, I got to I was kind of a lead up to the night activity down at Brooklyn Bridge Park. And I've also presented at the Library of Congress at their National Book Festival, which was like amazing. It was
I can imagine.
Well, it's a little
Yes.
intimidating, right? Like while I was there, that was the year that RBG Ruth Bader Ginsburg was there, and I was like,
Oh,
right,
God.
like, wow. So it's I've been very lucky in my career. I'm very blessed, and that's why I like to give back. Right? I feel like
I don't think it's just. I don't think it's so, Jennifer. I don't think it's just luck. I think also it's hard work because that's something you started doing since as a kid.
yes,
You know, that was something that's a passion of yours as a kid, and you take it as that child. No matter, I'm sure things happen during, doing
oh
that, but
sure.
you keep it. You kept on going. You didn't stop. So I think it's a lot of hard work as well that you put into this. But that get me to ask you, how do you feel about all of the great things you I don't think you realize all you have done, but how do you feel about them? Let me ask you that because it's a lot you have done, it's a lot you are still doing.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm not great about that. My husband's always like, "You're way too humble." Um, I'm amazed and I'm thrilled to have done all of these things. But yes, like you say, it's hard work and I'm still kind of like on to the next thing, you know? Um, I don't sit there and be like, "Wow, I did that." I mean, I do sometimes, but I'm always looking forward and I'm always looking for ways to help and to improve. And I'm on to the next topic that I get so excited about that I want to write it for the kids. And so, yes, I should probably take time more and sit back and look at it, but I don't do that. I'm always working and that makes me excited. I'm looking forward to the next podcast we tape, right? And the next scientist that I'm like, oh my gosh, look, I got that scientist on our podcast. Yay!
All I can say is she did that.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So, I know that your podcast also caters to parents and teachers seeking new ideas to teach their kids. How important do you think it is for them to enrich their knowledge to help their children in the process?
I think it's very important. And it's kind of funny because the podcast was my pandemic project. I like to go out and talk to kids and whatever. And we were like, oh gosh, everybody's in the house. What are we going to do? And I thought, I have met amazing scientists and engineers over the years, and they're so passionate about what they do. Most people think of scientists and engineers as, okay, they're people that work in the lab and it's really boring. And yet when you get them talking, they're just go wild, like, oh my gosh, this, they love it. And I sort of did this because in all of the years that I've been going to schools and visiting teachers and parents, I've had so many teachers and parents come up to me and be like, I don't know anything about science. I don't even maybe like it that much. And now I have a student or child who loves it. They're like, what do I do? How do I want to support them, which I think is amazing. But they're like,
Yes.
I don't know what to do with that. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I write the books, but I also started the podcast. So because it's all about careers too. Like we've had turtle scientists come on. We had the scientist from the Princeton Plasma Physics Lab, and he's working on nuclear fusion, which could solve all of our energy problems.
Yes.
Assuming we could ever get this working someday, maybe. They're making huge progress. But we had a black hole scientist on who had us listen to a black hole. I didn't even know you could hear.
Ooh, you can hear them?
And he brought his tapes and played it on the podcast. Now,
Oh, I need to listen to that one.
Bloop, right? Like it's not like some big like whoosh that you would
But that's cool though.
Right. So that's part of the reason why I encourage, and we have lots of adult listeners. Like it's sort of geared towards fifth grade and parents and families, but we have lots of adults that listen to our podcast and really enjoy it. It's called Solve It for Kids. You can find us on our website, solveitforkids.com, or anywhere that you listen to a podcast.
Wow. I am a fan for life. That's all that I can say. And I wanna bring this back again for the event that you are having in November. So if you can remind everyone where they can actually and when is it and what time is it and where they can go and join that event.
Exactly. So thank you. Yes. So it is on our Kid Literacy Facebook page. So you can find us, just Google Kid Literacy or go to our website, kidliteracy.org, and it'll take you to our Facebook page. And we are doing a Facebook Live event. We're tentatively titling it Astronaut versus Aquanaut. And it is Friday, November 18th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. And we think it might go 90 minutes. We'll see. But we're going to have live drawing, like actual drawing, not like drawing for prizes. But like bring your paper and pen, crayons, whatever. We're going to have an amazing illustrator, an Apollo 15 astronaut, an aquanaut, myself, and we're going to have games and puzzles, and then hopefully we'll have a donate button that you may choose to use to help us out. That will be wonderful. We are very excited about this.
Yes. And also don't forget to bring your children because that's the whole purpose. Yes. You want them there.
Exactly. We would like teachers and families and, parents to tune in with their kids and participate. Right?
Yes, participate. And also at the end, donate, because what Jennifer is trying to do is helping our children. And sometimes we as parents, we don't have the time to do things like that. And when we find someone that's already laid out on how to go and do it, it's become a lot easier than us staying on Google, how do I help my kids become a scientist? So I can imagine, because my little boy wants to be a scientist. So that's something I try to learn. So exactly. I think that Jennifer is making it a lot easier for us to be able to go out there and help our children and also help other children.
Yes. That's the goal. Hopefully, yes.
So, and any advice do you have for children who want to be scientists, or parents or even teachers that's trying to help the kids?
So don't give up, right? And also, it's fine if you change your mind. Like, it's so funny. It strikes me that we've had a lot of scientists on, and we like to ask them, have you always wanted to be a turtle scientist? And you'd be surprised how many say, no. Right? and kids kind of think when they're young, I can only be this. Keep your mind open. Follow whatever your curiosity is. And as far as the teachers and the parents, just support them. I'm sitting here doing this because my parents supported me. I had 3 brothers. I was never told as a girl that I couldn't do science. Never. I was always supported. And so just support your kids and try to, if they love science, try to take them to a science museum or a book festival. Get them books about it. But that support right there will take these kids so far. So far.
Yes, I completely agree with that. And before I let you go, anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, just thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful talking to you about it. And it's always fun to talk. I love to talk science and STEM. So anytime.
I love that conversation. I love talking to you. It's different, and it's a lot. What you are doing is also, we need it. We don't talk about it, but we need it. Yes. And also, I want to remind everyone to also go to your website and then donate and support you, because the more school you can get your foot into, the more children we can help. Yeah. So I think that better than you buying the books, even if you have books, you can donate it so that you can help others, more schools as well with the books. Yeah. So I think that's something that you can't give money, but at least you can donate books.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much, Jennifer, for taking the time to have this conversation with me. And I enjoy talking to you, and I love what you are doing. And thank you for supporting our children and our next generation.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Nagila. It was a wonderful conversation. I had a great time.
Thank you, Jennifer, for taking the time to have this conversation with me. Let me know your thoughts about this episode with Jennifer. And to learn more about Jennifer and Kid Literacy Inc., visit www.kidliteracy.org. Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app. or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.